Patrick Mahomes has now won his third Super Bowl MVP of his career. That ties the great Joe Montana for second most in National Football League history. Joe Montana, who played for the Niners and the Chiefs. Only Tom Brady has more Super Bowl MVPs with 5. Our MVP all season, Luke Willson, down on the field at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. He was there for this thing. The Chiefs, the first team in 20 years to repeat as Super Bowl champs. Buddy, you're watching this game. You're watching this overtime. They got to give the ball back to Patrick Mahomes. He's coming down the field. Was there any doubt in your mind that Mahomes is going to come through and win this thing?
Not in overtime, Jay. You're sitting there, and they're letting him linger, and all of a sudden you could see it, and you could feel it in here. They're starting to get hot, and they're starting to figure it out, and they're really starting to move the ball methodically down the field. And again, you just kind of knew it was only a matter of time, especially because the Niners let this team hang around what seemed like forever. I mean, the Niners were up, they had shots, and then all of a sudden it was like Steve Spagnuolo just absolutely had an answer for everything the Niners were trying to do, and Patrick Mahomes kept getting chance after chance after chance. And to me, it was a microcosm of their season. You know, very slow start, a lot of questions, but in the end, they found a way to get it done. So you got to tip your cap, and like you said, I mean, it's true greatness at this point. What a dynasty, and hats off to the Kansas City Chiefs.
And I want to get to the defense in a second because I know you want to talk about Spagnuolo, but for most of the game, the Niners' defensive line really kept Mahomes from running a lot. He wasn't running a ton. And then all of a sudden, in that game-winning drive, he's running all over the place. What did you see from the Chiefs on that game-winning drive, Luke?
I thought like they just finally kind of got into their groove, like a little fluidity. Part of what happened early was that the Niners were just seemingly always on the field, and they were getting 3 and outs. And again, one of the things I thought was a key to the game, again, not any sort of hard-hitting football knowledge here, Jay, was to get Patrick Mahomes on the field. And in the first half, it seemed like he was barely out there. Again, the Niners had some longer drives, didn't really capitalize on things, but the Chiefs, their drives were very, very short. And all of a sudden, you saw Mahomes get comfortable. He was throwing the ball around very well, and that's the point where Mahomes is able to use his legs as well. I will say, again, just kind of a hunch I have, I thought the Niners did a great job really slowing down Isaiah Pacheco in this run game, and that was probably a huge focus for them coming into this thing, especially because of, you know, how the last 2 playoff games went against Green Bay and against the Detroit Lions. And was there something, you know, that maybe ended up hurting him on the back end? Because Mahomes, at the end of the day, threw for a bunch of yards, and when it mattered the most, he had guys that either won their routes or were wide open. So, again, you got to tip your cap to the whole Chiefs organization. It's a special day for them.
And the offense, as you alluded to, Luke, was terrific when it needed to be. But really, and especially in that second half, Steve Spagnuolo, I'm just going to give you the floor, buddy, and just let you wax poetic about this now four-time defensive coordinator, Super Bowl champion, the only defensive coordinator to win 4 Super Bowls. How did he pull it off?
He did everything, Jay. Here comes the rant, okay? They should take this MVP trophy, they should cut it in half, and they should give half it to Patrick Mahomes, and for the first time ever, a defensive coordinator should be co-MVPs of this game. Okay, let's start with what's being wildly overlooked right now, and that's the fact that they did a great job against Christian McCaffrey in the run game. Yes, McCaffrey had 80 yards, but he also had 22 carries. He averaged 3.6 yards. Early on, it looked like, hey, McCaffrey's going to run all over this team. That did not happen. And trust me when I say Kyle Shanahan wants to have a run game to call his plays, and he did not have that. So first and foremost, they stopped the run game. Next up, you talk about the blitzes. They were perfectly timed. I mean, McDuffie had the big one, but it wasn't just him. They brought pressure when they needed it. They confused guys when they needed it, and they covered well. The next thing I'll say, because we could go on and on and on, is let's talk third down. The Niners were 3 for 12 on third down. I mean, they got dominated on third down. I mean, Jay, in the narrative, this will be my end of this rant, but the narrative is Kyle Shanahan in this offense is great when they have a lead. Well, you know what they had today? They had a lead the entire game. The entire game. And you kept sitting here and we're watching and thinking, hey, this is really bad news for the Chiefs because once this becomes 2 scores, it might become 3. It might become 4. Who knows? And it never got insurmountable, obviously, and all because of this defense kept finding a way to get the ball back in Mahomes' hands. And like we talked about, if that's going to be the game plan, it's only a matter of time until he's going to be able to score.
The Niners, though, Luke, they came so close once again. They lose another heartbreaker in the Super Bowl. You know, it's obviously it's tough and it's raw for everything for Shanahan and company, but the way this Niners team is constructed, do you expect them to be back here soon? Do you expect them to be back here next year?
I definitely expect them to give it a run, Jay. And I just want to say, from the bottom of my heart as a former Seahawk, I couldn't be more happy right now, you know, because the clock's ticking on this team. The clock's ticking. And the reality is it's going to be a very, very tough situation because when you win and you're the 1 seed, you know, you have to play all the 1 seeds next year. So, yes, they have a ton of talent, but the window is certainly shrinking. And I think if you're a Niners fan and or player, what's tough is we're sitting here and we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and their dynasty. When the reality is they were a few plays away from also, you know, you look at the past Super Bowl a couple years ago, this one today, they're right there. Again, a few plays away from having 2 Super Bowls. It's a very, very tough pill to swallow. And as much as I love to poke fun at the Niners, the one thing that is very tough for them is you look at last year's Super Bowl run. Brock Purdy gets hurt. We all know what happened, you know, in the NFC Championship. They don't have a quarterback. And today, I did think it was a big, big ordeal that Dre Greenlaw had a freak injury. I mean, I felt terrible for the guy jogging on the field.
Yeah.
I also think Deebo Samuel was pretty hobbled from his hamstring. He fought through it. He toughed it out. He went back out there, but I did not think he was the same. And even Kittle at one point was in and out of, you know, the locker room, the training room. These guys were severely banged up and were, again, a couple plays short from getting a Super Bowl. So on the flip side, the non-Seahawk in me feels for him, Jay.
Yeah.
But it's a tough situation. It's a tough situation, and I do know what it's like to get here and lose, and it's something you never really get over. So there is I guess there's a part of my Seahawk heart that does feel for these guys.
Well, you know what it's like to get there and win, too. You know what it's like to get there and lose, so you've seen both sides of it. So having seen both sides of it, Luke, are you ready to call this Chiefs team a dynasty at this point?
Yes, and again, I talk about resiliency, Jay. That would be the thing that stuck out to me today, is I want to put your kind of mindset into a player's, you know, situation. You come out here, you're on the Chiefs offense. You get dominated in the first half. Travis Kelce had 1 catch for 1 yard. You couldn't really run the football. You barely score 3 points. You go into the locker room afterwards, and the thought's going to be, hey, we get the ball back. We're only down 7. Great job, defense. We're going to come out here and score. What do you do to start the third quarter? You throw a pick. You throw a pick against this team. Again, defense bails you out. Next drive, you think, okay, we're right back at it. What do you do there? 3 and out, and just even more demoralizing in a way, you have a short yardage with a very, very tough runner that gets stopped. So I talk about resiliency and perseverance. To me, that is why they were able to get it done and why I think they'll potentially get it done again, because you can't teach those things. It's leadership. It's the locker room. It's the veterans. It's all of these guys fighting and playing for each other. And if you're on that team, it's special. And for those people watching right now who played any sport and have had that moment at any level, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Most teams, when you come out and you're that poor in the first half, again, offensively speaking, and you come out in the third quarter and you have 2 drives like that, a pick and a 3 and out, you sit there and you scratch your head and you say, man, this stinks. Why can't we get this going? Not this team, not Patrick Mahomes' leadership. They find a way. Kelce ends up having a huge second half. I mean, MVS catches a wide-open touchdown. Hardman catches a game-winning touchdown. It's unbelievable. And, again, you got to respect it. And from a non-X&O standpoint, it's incredible.
What's even more amazing to me, Luke, is like Travis Kelce's bumping into Andy Reid on the sideline. Rashee Rice is chewing out Patrick Mahomes on the sideline. Like Clark is chewing out everybody on the sideline. Like, there's arguments, there's conflict, and yet in the end, it's all good when they win, right? They are able to just put all that aside and get it done in the end.
Jay, that question fires me up now. I'm ready to run through a wall. It brought me right back to my days playing in Seattle. We'd have fights at practice all the time. Guys would be arguing. Similar thing. I mean, coaches going at it, players going at it. But winning heals all things. And the thing I will say is at this level, as a fan, when you see, you know, people who have relationships yelling at each other on the sideline, that's somewhat of general communication in the NFL. they're not doing it because they dislike each other. They're doing it because they have so much passion and want to win so badly that sometimes they let their emotions get the best of them. And again, we're here live. We didn't get to see all the replays, but obviously the Travis Kelce, run into Andy Reid. That's a duo that are probably very, very close and will be till the end of time. And to see them, again, kind of go at it in the middle of the game and still be able to, like I said, get over that right away, find a way to get this thing done. It's incredible for me to watch, and I just appreciate that you asked me that because nothing made me happier, Jay. Again, that's football right there. I love it, man. I love it.
Well, hey, listen, that's a perfect way to end it. We loved having you on the show all season. And Luke, here's the good news. Just 207 days until the start of the next NFL season. You're going to be back for that. We can't wait. We've had fun all season with you. So enjoy your night in Vegas, and thanks again, pal.